During Kamala Harris's clumsy presidential run, she used to talk about her 3 a.m. agenda, which she described as a plan, quote, focused on the issues that keep people up at night. Whatever consultant came up with that was actually onto something, even if their idea was wasted on a doomed candidate. Millions of families are waking up in the middle of the night or sitting at the kitchen table after putting the kids to bed, trying to figure out how to make it all work. That's a quote from Kamala Harris in a 2019 op-ed that argued her plan included, quote, solutions that will have a direct and immediate effect on people's lives, paychecks, and healthcare. Again, the consultant's onto something. It's important that our politics are indeed focused on solving the immediate problems of everyday Americans, not on trumped-up, media-friendly conflicts used to emotionally manipulate voters. Of course, there's really no getting rid of that emotional manipulation, but responsible actors in politics and media should seek to cut through all that noise. So what are 3 a.m. issues? Surely now it's the full slate of economic pains: gas prices, food prices, healthcare, student loan debt. For the average voter, abortion is likely not front of mind as polls open around the country. And yet, take a look at this video from Dearborn, Michigan.
We want to leave the politics out of this. If you're on Facebook, all you see is fear-mongering political rhetoric that this is book banning, censorship, homophobic. All it is protecting our children. We as concerned parents in Dearborn are not tied to the left, to the right when it comes to this issue. And we're not going to be used as pawns for any organization for their own agenda. We're here to protect our children. Do not fall for the political rhetoric on Facebook, on Instagram. Do not fall for the trap, because that's what they want. They're trying to smear us. They're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to say this is homophobic. Listen, there's a book that was banned. It was called This Book is Gay. And I tell you, if the book was called This Book is Straight, we're still gonna go after it. Because it's teaching kids how to go online and have sexual intercourse with others on the internet. This is wrong.
The title referenced in that speech is called This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson. I'm going to read a positive community review from the Progressive Daily Kos, which compared the book to other LGBT books aimed at teens. Quote, Juno goes a bit further, though, offering specific and practical advice on how to find and meet like-minded people for socializing and sex, the reviewer notes. Some of her advice is tailored specifically for teenagers in high school. She frankly describes the different ways gay men and women bring their partners to orgasm. She includes illustrations not of sex acts, but of bodies, less graphic than those in Fun Home and genderqueer graphic novels that feature in other book-banning attempts. Okay, so like those books, This Book is Gay has been the subject of parent protests. Here's the section of the book the dad referenced in the viral speech, which reads how sex apps work. You can see on the screen, it's basically an instruction on how to get on a sex app and meet someone. Here's another section that provides instructions on how to perform handies and blowies and much, much more. So is this a dumb culture war blow-up or a 3 a.m. issue? In another part of his viral speech, the father-turned-protest leader in Dearborn said people have been warning him that if he speaks out, they're going to protest your businesses, you're going to get fired from your job. I've got 3 children. My purpose in this world is to protect my kids, and that's all I will do, and nobody will stop me. That's what the dad said. Now, hundreds of members of the Muslim community in Dearborn have come out to school board meetings since September, organizing to keep their kids from accessing books like Dawson's. This is where more culture war issues become 3 a.m. issues. If you're worried about finances for speaking out against a book that provides your 14-year-old with what reasonable people would agree is unhealthy sexual instruction, then this culture war issue becomes an economic one as well. None of that is to say cultural issues can't keep people up at night without also being economic ones. It's merely to point out that we too often think of culture and economics as mutually exclusive areas. This is not an isolated local issue in Dearborn either. This is happening in communities all over the country and with more than just this one book. These questions played a role in Glenn Youngkin's upset last year in Virginia. Parents care about this. For understandable reasons, they take issue with the content of the book and the ease of access for their children, who are already very difficult to protect from violent internet porn. The idea that a public school could be undermining their best efforts at parenting is obviously infuriating. Now, check out this headline from the Washington Post. School board meeting cut short as protests over LGBTQ books grow unruly. All right, so much of the news coverage has included basically no information about the content parents are objecting to, describing it repeatedly as LGBT rather than sexually explicit, which this book is gay clearly is. Now, I won't deny a chunk of the religious protesters are likely opposed more generally to LGBT books, regardless of whether they're highly sexualized. The Detroit Free Press reported at one meeting, quote, some of the placards held up read, keep your porno books to yourself, homosexuality, big sin, and if democracy matters, we're the majority. Here's more from the Washington Post. Quote, like other parts of the country, conservative Christians were the first to raise fears about books with LGBTQ content in Michigan School District, which serves the city of Dearborn and part of the Dearborn Heights in the Detroit metro area, the Detroit Free Press reported. They then rallied the significant Muslim population in both cities to join them. All right, so that actually gives credence to what the dad said in his viral speech. This isn't about left or right. It's about parents who don't think these books are appropriate for teenagers and parents who are now reasonably panicked about the mindset that informs our education system, which is fighting to keep this book as gay and other titles in libraries. Interestingly, CARE's Michigan organization has been supportive of the parent protesters, while the American Federation of Teachers has been supportive of the books. Reading through weeks of the coverage, I was reminded of a post from Colin Wright's Substack, Reality's Last Stand, this week. It was a pretty nuanced rebuttal by Lisa Celine Davis of John Oliver's recent Last Week Tonight show on trans issues. So while mocking his detractors for getting facts wrong, John Oliver did very much the same. While pointing that out, Davis landed on a deeper point. She listed off what she sees as excesses in Republican anti-trans policies, but then she added, the Democrats, on the other hand, have passed laws that allow children to medically transition without parental consent, sent CPS after parents who don't socially or medically affirm their trans-identified kids, and attempted to criminalize parents who refuse pediatric gender medical interventions. I think it's safe to call these actions on both sides effing insane, which is a term Oliver uses several times, but never for the Democrats. So this is repeated in the media constantly as well. Parents have legitimate reasons to be furious about those books in libraries or about consent laws on transitioning, for instance. Who put those books in libraries? Who passed those laws? It was Democrats, as Democrats in the left more broadly. As Davis wrote, a lot of people on the left are worried about the compelled speech of pronoun announcements and that the left's handling of this issue may cost us the election and with it our democracy. Why not take that seriously? She was talking to John Oliver there. Well, back to the dad's point, because taking it seriously from the left either requires meaningfully challenging their priors or risking personal and professional blowback. By the way, it's easy to understand why. Genuine bigotry exists, and decent people want to protect others from it. But people are very upset about the culture right now, and they have legitimate reasons to be upset about it. You may disagree with them, but treating all these parents as bigots or opponents generally of LGBT books pushes us deeper into a hole. And the deeper we go into that hole, the more time we have to spend talking about bizarre teen books than fixing our healthcare system. People aren't wrong to care about both. One of the interesting criticisms of John Oliver.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.